Now let us spend some 10-15 minutes trying to lay out what is the plan of this optional course. What is the plan of this optional course and some basic comments on sociology optional, so on and so forth, right? See, the first thing is that the way I take my GS classes is slightly different from the way I take my optional classes, right? Because it's usually a smaller group of people. We meet more often than the GS students, right? So I tend to treat my optional classes slightly different, right? I give them a somewhat special treatment, as it were, right? The optional students. So think about this optional class in this way, okay? That is, all of us are in some sort of a collective journey to reach this number. We are in some sort of a collective journey to reach this number in your optional paper, right? So I was saying that I tend to treat my optional classes slightly differently. And I want all of you to think about this optional course as not some kind of a one-way communication in which I keep teaching you the content and you keep writing down, so on and so forth, right? I want all of you to take this as some kind of a collective journey so that we can reach this 300. First of all, this score, this 300, this score, it is very much achievable. It's very much achievable. But why is it that many students haven't achieved it so far, including myself, right? I keep stopping at 285, 290 whenever I was giving the examination. Okay, but why is it that we fail to get to this place, 300, right? It is because there are two aspects to it. One is like completing the syllabus. Okay, you have to complete the syllabus. Okay, that is, you cannot ignore even one topic from your optional syllabus. That is the first thing, okay? You cannot ignore even one topic because it so happens that sometimes, like for example in 2018, there are some less important topics, okay? It appears from the syllabus as if these are less important topics, but many more questions are asked from these less important topics. So we cannot afford to ignore any topic, right? That has been one of my failings when I was giving the exam, that I used to only study the more important topics, right? Because I felt that, oh, I have studied sociology for so long, I've studied for 10 years, why do I have to finish the syllabus? I can just write something, okay? So that does not work in this examination, as I found out the hard way, and I don't want you to repeat that mistake, okay? So we must complete the syllabus. That is the first thing, right? Second thing is that once you complete the syllabus, you must, irrespective or independently of what I am doing in the class, you must keep adding value to your content. Okay, content is the king in this UPSC examination. You must have heard this refrain many times. Content is the king. That is, suppose I teach you something about family and kinship and the sociological theories about family and kinship, and in Hindu newspaper you suddenly come across some article which kind of writes about what are the observations that were made by, say, some scholar on the Indian family system, right? So you must immediately add that content in that specific area, right? Wherever you have written down sociological theories, you must write down that specific current affairs based content, and you must make it a point to reproduce this content. Learn this content, by heart it, and try to reproduce in your examination. That adds a lot of value to your answers, right? Every current affairs example that you give adds one extra mark to your mark, and that would be something like 15-20 marks extra in each paper. That would be 40 marks extra in both papers, right? That is the difference between 270 and 310. That is the difference between IAS and not qualifying the examination. Okay, so you must keep doing this. Okay, that is something that I want to insist straight away. That is, as and when we learn something in the class, I want you to work from your end also. That is, suppose if we learn about family and kinship, use Google. Right? Family and kinship in India. Use Google. Tell yourself, I'm going to spend 2 hours randomly searching Google about affairs related to family and kinship in India. And believe me, you will come across some very interesting aspects, some very interesting examples. Maybe family and kinship practices in a particular tribe, in a particular religion. And make a note of those things. That is what will add value to your content. Okay. So what usually happens is that there are some this coaching material, that coaching material, this topper's material or that topper's material that is available in the market, right? These handwritten Xerox copies are available in the market, and all the students study from the same material. Okay, so it so happens that all the answers look similar. All the answers look similar, right? So if you write an answer that everybody else is writing and there is no uniqueness to your content, you don't get that additional 1-2 extra marks, right? So we must focus on getting that 1-2 extra marks. That is one thing that all of you have to keep in your mind, right? Then this is something true of all subjects in UPSC and all optionals in UPSC, but much more true of sociology, is that you should develop better writing skills in sociology. Okay, you should develop better writing skills. Okay, it requires somewhat better writing skills in sociology. Why? Because suppose imagine that you are writing your optional with geography, right? Now you can simply draw diagrams in geography. You can simply draw diagrams, you can draw flow charts, right? You can draw a map, right? This is how you can add value to your content. Or say if you're doing economics, right? You can mug up many statistics and actually reproduce that statistics in the paper, and that will add value and content to your paper. In sociology, you cannot do that. In anthropology, you cannot do that. In political science, you cannot do that, right? These are highly theoretical subjects, and clarity of expression. For example, if you read the detailed notification that UPSC gives, right? Depth of content and clarity of expression will be rewarded. That is what UPSC itself says, right? So it requires some depth of content and clarity of expression, right? So one of the things that we will do in this class is to build up your answer writing skills as far as sociology is concerned, right? There is one particular way in which you are supposed to write answers in sociology, and if you learn that you are going to write excellent essays, it is also going to help you in your GS answer writing, right? So that is what many sociology students end up getting very high marks in their essay papers, right? Why? Because they learn one way of arguing, one way of presenting an argument. All of you must hence learn this way of presenting, okay? That is writing. How do you present arguments, okay? The other one is current affairs. The third one is writing. How to present arguments in this sociology paper, right? Now, this is not rocket science. It can be learnt. It is not at all difficult. And if we work together, if you are sincere from your side, then I can help you easily pick up these answer writing skills in sociology, right? So these are the three things. These are the three things I want you to keep in mind straight away. Yes, please come. Okay, from the students who have walked in just now, are there any students who are not part of La Excellence PCM? Prelims cum mains. All of you are part of La Excellence PCM course, right? Are there any students who have already studied sociology as part of their graduation? In the new students who have walked in? No? Are there any students who have decided to take sociology optional? Yes, you have decided. Among the students who walked in, you have also decided. Yes, madam, have you also decided to take sociology optional? Very good. The others are actually exploring what to take, right? No problem. Yes. So yes, I was talking about writing skills and the importance of writing skills for sociology. So if there is some sincerity from your side, right, it is not very difficult to pick up these answer writing skills, and it is going to serve you well throughout your UPSC journey. Okay, that is, first of all, appreciating the way in which arguments are presented, whether in, say, an EPW article, whether in these Hindu editorials, right? There is one way in which our arguments are presented. Right? You must appreciate how these arguments are presented, and you must try to imitate that. Okay? It will serve you well throughout your UPSC journey if you pick up this answer writing from sociology optional. That is one thing I want to emphasize straight away. Okay? Then, about the format of this class, for the benefit of those who have walked in just now, the class will be held on every weekend from 2 to 7:30. That is 2.5 hour sessions with a half an hour break in between. Right? And the format of the class will be something like this. I will try and explain the concepts to you first. and there will be a lot of dictation of notes in this class, right? Why do I want to dictate notes? It's not as if I enjoy dictating notes, but it helps you to figure out what is the logical sequence in which you are actually supposed to present an answer. For example, say there is a thinker called Durkheim, right? Now there is a question asked from one of his books called Suicide, okay? Now when I explain this in the class, you will be able to basically understand what is Durkheim trying to say, okay? That much I can deliver in this class. But when you write it, okay, you don't know what to write first, what to write next, and how to conclude. Okay, and that is very important in your optional syllabus. Logical construction of ideas, technical arguments, right? So that you can immediately revise these notes and practice answer writing, I tend to dictate a lot of notes in this class, right? And that really helps so that you can keep revising these notes. And practice answer writing therefrom. Okay, that is one thing. Then next thing, what are the sources to study from, right? What are the sources for this sociology? How much should we study, right? There are multiple sources for sociology, but the books that I recommend for paper 1 are this Blue, Harlambos and Halbone book, right? The Blue, Harlambos and Halbone book, and the next one is Anthony Giddens. Okay, Anthony Giddens and Blue, Harlambos. These will be your primary texts from which you will study. Now, don't start studying from page 1 to page 1090. Okay. It helps if you study, but you don't have that kind of a time, I know. Study selectively from these books. Now, La Excellence has prepared a topic-wise head sheet, which has the page numbers that you are supposed to study from these books. You will get these. You'll get this head sheet in the next class. Okay, the page numbers that you are supposed to study from this book, right? From these two books. Now, both these books don't have good coverage of thinkers. That is, we have 6 thinkers in the sociology paper 1, but these books don't cover these thinkers part properly, right? So I have used multiple sources to prepare notes for this class. So I strongly suggest that you use this class notes for your thinkers part, right? That is the most important part of your sociology first paper, okay? These 6 thinkers, and earlier the trend used to be that almost 100 to 150 marks used to be asked only from these 6 thinkers. So if you understand these 6 thinkers, your job is half done, okay? So I strongly suggest that you use my notes from this class to understand these thinkers and write answers from these notes, right? That is one thing. The second thing is that when it comes to your paper 2, right? Now this is a problem in all optionals, right? All optionals. In all the optionals, first paper is the theory part. The theory part, and India has a big deficit of good textbooks in sociology, right? You don't find a good textbook on Indian sociology yet, okay? But you find good textbooks for paper 1. That is true of anthropology, sociology, political science, because these are all foreign author books, right? These courses are also taught in foreign universities, and these foreign author books are really good. So you can study paper 1 from these textbooks, but paper 2 you will find it very difficult to get content, right? Now for this in the La Excellence head sheet, you will find whatever is the best source available for that part. Okay, but I suggest that you supplement that source with the notes that we are going to do in this class, because I have tried to distill arguments from multiple research papers, and I have tried to include examples, statistics like this, diagrams, which you can directly use in your examination. So I strongly suggest that on top of reading the material that is suggested by the La Excellence head sheet, you pay close attention to the notes that are going to be dictated in this class in the paper 2. That is the idea. Okay, is this clear? Are there any questions? Are there any questions at this stage as to the format of the class, what to expect from sociology, so on and so forth? Okay, no? So now the best way to understand what this optional is to just start studying it, right? So let us start. First of all, the first thing that we must do in this class is to understand what is sociology, right? What is sociology? Okay, this is the agenda of the first class. What is sociology? What is sociology? What is its subject matter? And what is its unique subject matter? And what is the nature of this discipline called sociology, right? This is what we have to understand, right? Now, many people believe that sociology is simply the study of society, right? Simply the study of society, okay? But that is a very vague way in which you can actually think about a technical discipline of this nature, right? Economics also studies society, political science also studies society, anthropology also studies society. A novelist writing fiction also studies society. A religious priest who is writing about God also studies society and writes something about it, right? This is how society is and God wants it to be this way. They may go on writing like this, right? And more importantly, just because all of you actually live in this society, all of you are also in one way studying society, right? When you come to this, say, many people may have come from Vizag or Bangalore to Hyderabad. The immediate thing that you do is start studying this society of Hyderabad. What is this society of Hyderabad? What is the food they eat? What is the culture here, right? In your own way, all of you are actually studying society, right? Only because of this kind of studying society that you are able to find your way around this society, okay? But sociology is simply not study of society, okay? It means something more. It means something more. It is a specific discipline. It has a specific focus, right? Now, of all the disciplines, it is difficult to demarcate or understand. It's easy to demarcate, but difficult to understand what is the subject matter of this sociology. Why? Because it is difficult to imagine this abstract thing called sociology. It's difficult to imagine it. Okay, why? When you're thinking about economics, you can think about money, banks, how money is flowing in, how money is flowing out, right? What is happening to the stock markets, what is happening to the production of goods, what is the situation of demand, what is the situation of supply, right? It is something that is concrete. You can always imagine economy. It's easy to imagine economy, right? Or if you're studying something like political science, it is easy to imagine the government. You can always think about the prime minister, the cabinet, the state, the constitution, right? The bureaucrats. You can always think about something when you are studying political science. That is, there is some tangible item, something that you can put your finger on and say, okay, this is the subject matter of political science. That is, affairs related to power, affairs related to state, how political parties operate, right? So it's easy to also imagine what political science is. Now think about history. Is it easy to imagine what history deals with? Yes, right? History deals with something that has already occurred, something in the past. Something in the past. It has already occurred, right? So anything that has already occurred, some sort of a scientific study of what has already occurred is history, right? Like this, in other social science departments, it is easier to imagine, right? It's not so easy to even define, but it's easy to imagine what is this, what is the subject matter of the discipline. Are you able to follow? Right? Are you with me? I'm trying to tell you that in other social science disciplines, such as political science, history, law, or economics, it is somewhat easy to identify what is the subject matter, okay? Why? Because it's easy for you to imagine. You can imagine money, you can imagine state, you can imagine power like this. But when it comes to sociology, if you broadly say sociology is the study of society, it becomes very difficult to imagine what is this society, right? Is my relationship with my friend part of society or social relationship? Is my relationship my parents a kind of social relationship? Is law part of society? Is state part of society? Is economy part of society, right? All of these at one level appear to be part of society, but they are not also exactly society, right? So there is this confusion which makes it somewhat tricky to define what is sociology and how to pinpoint the subject matter of this discipline. Are you all with me? Right? Now, just hold that discussion for a while. I want you to imagine something now, right? I want you to imagine something. Now, all of you are individuals. All of you are individuals. All of you have a head of your own, right? You have your own likes, dislikes, right? Like this, right? All of you have some sort of free will. Okay, what is the meaning of free will? Yes. Let us look at the meaning of this free will. Okay. For now, since this is the first class, just understand free will like this, right? It is your ability to do what you think should be done. Okay, it is your ability to do what you think should be done, right? For example, if you feel that this particular teacher is not teaching properly in the class, right? Can you raise your hand and actually point it out? Theoretically, you can, right? You can. If you think about it, you can point out that, sir, you are actually not teaching us properly, we are unable to understand. You can do that. That means that you are able to do what you think should be done. Are you able to follow this, right? So as individuals, all of you have free will. Okay, can we agree on that? That all of you have some amount of free will, right? So the first thing is that you are an individual, and this individual has free will. this individual has free will. That is, this individual has the ability to do things or ability to do what he or she thinks should be done, right? They feel that something should be done and they have the ability to do it, right? There are no constraints, okay? Like this, there are other individuals in the society also, right? This is one individual. There are many other individuals in the society and they also have free will. They also have free will. Isn't that correct? Okay, like this there are multiple people, okay? Now, think about it like this. There is one aspect which is inside your head. Think about it like this, okay? Your ability to think, right? Your ability to think. Say there is one person, he's thinking to himself, right? What should I take as the optional subject, okay? Or why should I appear in the UPSC examination? Should I appear in the UPSC examination or should I go for an MBA and then try to find a job in the private sector, right? You're thinking to yourself. Right? That is part of your internal self. That is what happens inside your mind. Okay? You are thinking. Okay? That is happening inside you, right? So there is one domain which is inside yourself, right? Like this person also has a domain which is inside. Isn't that correct? Right? Now, think about it more clearly. There is also an outside. If there is an inside, there is also an outside. You are thinking, okay, should I take UPSC or not, right? That is the conversation that is happening within your mind. That is inside yourself and you have free will, right? So based on whatever you are thinking within yourself, if you reach a conclusion, you can actually act on that conclusion. You have that ability, right? But at the same time, there are some outside forces also. Now, what are these outside forces? These outside forces are something like this, right? What kind of job creation is there in the economy, right? Are there any good jobs available in the private sector? What is the quality of education I have received? I have done BTech, but did I really study something, right? Now that is not related to what you think, or that is not related to your internal self. It has something to do with the outside. It has something to do with the outside, the nature of education policy, the structure of the economy, right? Whether FDIs are coming in, whether they are flowing out, what is the monetary policy, right? These are all things that happen outside your mind. Okay, so there is something outside your mind also which influences how you think and how you decide. Isn't that correct? Right? So this person who is actually deciding to take UPSC is considering things that happen outside himself also. Are you able to follow? That is, you think like this, okay? See, according to this recently released report, the unemployment rate in India is at the highest, right? And I've seen my friend, he tried to get a job in private sector, he's earning only 20,000 rupees. He does not have any respect, okay? So why shouldn't I take a chance? Why shouldn't I take a chance and go for this UPSC examination, right? What did you do here? You're trying to take account of what is outside, okay? Impersonal aspects, what is outside your head. You're trying to take account of this, okay? Are you all with me? There is an internal conversation within you, but there is a reality outside also, right? So this reality is this domain, outside domain. Okay, this reality is this outside domain, right? Now, this is clear. Two steps of the argument, that is, you have an internal domain and you have free will, but there is an outside reality also, right? Now, this outside reality is called structure. Okay, and this person who has an internal conversation within himself and he has free will to decide, right? This person is called an agent. This person is called an agent. Okay, this person is called an agent, right? Now think about it this way, right? If each individual was completely free, there will not be any order in the society, right? There will not be any order in the society, right? Now think about this class, right? All of you religiously walked into this class and took your seats here. You know what to expect from a person who is standing on the dais and teaching, right? You know what to expect. You know how to behave with me. You don't call me, hey dude, what are you doing? You don't do like this. You say, sir, what is happening? Okay, if you want to talk to me, right? You know how to behave in this class. How is it that all of you free agents, right? All of you know the same thing, that you have to come into this class, take your seats here, stay calm when the class is happening, pay attention and address the teacher with respect. How is it that all of you know the same thing? Right? That is how you have learnt it, that is how you have been trained. and multiple aspects like this. For example, you don't randomly go to say a couple on the street and ask them, when are you having a child? You don't ask them like this. But if there is a newly married couple, you can ask them this, right? You can ask them this. How do you know what is appropriate behavior and what is inappropriate behavior, right? How do you know that? You know this because outside yourself, outside your mind, outside this free will, outside this agent, there is a structure. There is a structure according to which our behaviors are ordered. Okay, there is a structure outside. Okay, and this structure is learnt by this individual. That is, this structure, the outside structure, whatever is outside, it becomes the part of your thought process. Okay, this process is called internalization. This process is called internalization. Okay, that is the process by which you learn how society is, right? How is it that no student has walked into the class wearing a sari today, right? No male student has walked into the class wearing a sari today, right? Men don't wear sari. How do you know that? Right? You have free will, right? And you can obviously reach this conclusion that yes, it appears to be a rainy day, let me wear a sari and go to the class, right? Now this is a totally inappropriate thing to do. How did you know this? How did you know this? Because there is already a structure outside. There is already a structure outside which says that men wear trousers and shirts, women wear saris or whatever. Okay? Okay? What is the appropriate way of dressing for men and what is the appropriate way of dressing for women, right? This is already decided. It has nothing to do with you thinking, right? It's not a decision that you arrived at by internally thinking about it. Are you able to understand? Did you all think before coming to this class whether you should wear a sari or not? I'm asking the guys here. Did you consider it? Yes, sir. Did you consider wearing a sari? No, right? Why didn't you consider wearing a sari? Because you know it is inappropriate and men don't wear sari. How is it that all men know it? How is it that all men know it, that it is inappropriate to wear a sari and come out? Right? That is because this is a kind of structure that is present already in the society. And throughout your life, you have been learning, you have been internalizing what is true of this structure inside your head. So when you think, you don't think completely randomly. Okay? You think using this structural background. You think in the structural background. Right? You think in the structural background. Are you able to follow? Right? So there are two levels in which you think. One is the agent with free will who has a mind of his own and he can think creatively and he also has the ability to act on his thought. Okay? Are you able to follow? Then at the same time there is a structure outside. There is a structure outside which constrains what this person can actually think or not think. Okay? This person can think whatever. In your fantasies you may be wearing a sari and going around in Hyderabad, right? But you don't act on it. Why? Because there is a structure which constrains your action. There is a structure which constrains your action, right? That is why when two people interact in society, okay, two people, that is the teacher and the student, when we interact, this interaction, how should this interaction proceed is already structured. It is already structured. All of you know how to behave with a teacher. All of you know how to behave with your parents. All of you know how to behave with your wife, right? Like this, okay? So this interaction is already structured because we live in a structured society, okay? So from this we say that sociology at the basic level is the study of man in society. See, in this sociology class, we are going to use a lot of this man, okay? Don't think that I'm referring only to the gender men, okay? In classical times, people used to write like this, okay? Instead of writing man or woman all the time, they just said man in this, man is that, like that, okay? That is one kind of a gendered bias in sociology and writing, which we will deal about in one of our topics later, okay? But for now, just bear with me. I'm used to speaking like this, so I'm only going to speak like this, okay? So it is said that sociology is the study of man in society, and society in man, and society in man. Okay, this is one very classic statement as to what is the subject matter of sociology. It's right. It's a very classic statement. It's given by one person called Peter Berger. Okay, he said that sociology is the study of man in society and society in man. Okay, what does this mean? It means that this person, this man, is in a society, is in a structured reality, right? That is one level, and what this person thinks inside, right? This is actually a reflection of what this social structure outside is, right? So sociology is the study of how man is in society and how society is in man, right? All of you are in many ways products of this society. You are all in many ways products of this society. You may think that you have lot of free will, creativity, you can think whatever, you can also act on your thought, right? But you don't do it. Why don't you do it? Why don't you do it? Why don't all of you go and start a dharna in front of La Excellence saying that you are charging more fees, we don't want to come to your class, right? Why don't you do that, right? Because you are in a structured reality. You know that this is an inappropriate thing. You have notions such as it's a private business, it's a private company, right? Private company has the liberty to choose what fees to charge, and you have the liberty to choose whether you can attend or not, right? So you are already working with some kind of a structured background. All of you are products of this social structure. All of you are products of this social structure. So that is why we say that sociology is the study of man in society and society in man. Okay? Has everybody understood what I said just now? Yes, I want to hear comments on this, right? See, in the first 1 month, we are going to do it a little slowly because I want all of you to ground in this discipline, okay? Learn the vocabulary, terminology of this discipline, right? Yes, who wants to tell me what did I just say with your own experiences or whatever? Does somebody want to part? Yes, madam, you want to speak something? Yes. What did we understand in the last 5-10 minutes? Huh. Becomes a part of that person's thought structure. How your society becomes part of your thought structure, right? Now just think about it this way, right? The language that we are using English language. Now can you actually communicate or live your life without language? Well, any language for that matter, right? Your lives would simply collapse, right? And is this language your internal aspect or external aspect? Is language here or here? Can someone tell me? It's outside, right? Language is something that is outside that you have learnt and it has become part of your internal structure, right? It has become part of your internal structure. Now, without this kind of internalization process, we'd be as good as this Tarzan, right? Living in the forest, does not know how to speak, does not know what is the right way to behave with a person, right? Does not know that he has to wear clothes like this, right? The difference between an animal and a human being is that we live in this social structure and this structure becomes part of our heads. This structure becomes part of our broader thought process. That is the difference between animal and human being, right? That is the difference between animal and human being, okay? So this Tarzan would be closer to animal rather than human being, okay? That is the idea, yes. Anybody else wants to say something about this? Yes, the doctors? No? Yes, anybody else? Somebody has studied sociology here. Who is that? You have studied sociology. What do you want to say? You can speak in any language that you're comfortable in, other than Kannada. Hindi, Telugu, English, whatever. Do you understand what I am trying to tell you? Right? Do you appreciate what I am trying to tell you? Yes, what am I trying to tell you basically? No? You're shy to speak? Yes, Praveen, you tell me. What is happening here in the class? Yeah. Mm. 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 Yeah. 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 Yes. Yes, can you speak a little bit about this phrase? Sociology is the study of man in society and society in man. Can you speak about this phrase? Right? What I'm actually trying to tell you is that there is a, again, I'm repeating myself, okay? What I'm trying to tell you is that there is a structural reality outside. Okay, there is a structural reality outside, and there are processes through which it becomes part of your own thought process, and the word for that is socialization, okay, which Praveen has used. But we'll learn what socialization is, but what I'm trying to tell you, this is the basic idea that you have to understand, right? Every time you look at society, look at it as if they are populated by individuals who have their own way of thinking, their own free will, but they are all acting in the same way. Why are they acting in the same way? Because they have internalized the social structure, right? So sociology hence is the study of man in society and society in man. That is the idea, okay? Yes, are you all with me? You look a little confused. No? Okay. Now, let us try to build upon this a little more and actually see what is the scope of sociology, or what exactly does sociology study, right? Just as economic studies demand supply behavior or flows of money or about economic growth like this, what is exactly that sociology studies? What is it exactly that sociology studies, right? Now this may appear a little technical, but after I keep on repeating this some 50 times, which I am going to do in the next 2-3 days, you will find it much more easier to understand, okay? Now sociology at the end of the day studies 5 different things and 5 concrete things, okay? It studies 5 concrete things, okay? So what does it study? Okay, sociology studies 5 things, and these 5 things are: 1, sociology studies social action. Sociology studies social action. Okay, sociology studies social action. Now, what is the meaning of this social action, right? Let us try to understand this. We'll come back to this when we do Weber again, but for a preliminary understanding, let us do this here. See, think of a situation where, suppose there is a dog, okay, and you suddenly, there is no stone, but you suddenly try to do this and do like this at the dog. What does the dog do? It starts running, right? It starts running, or it starts doing something, right? It may bark at you also sometimes, right? Now, in this process, right, it is not as if the dog is thinking, oh, this man is a really bad man, he may actually hit me, so I better run somewhere, okay? It's not actually thinking, okay? It instinctively starts running. It instinctively starts running whenever it sees somebody bending down, okay? That is why, irrespective of whether there is a stone or not, the dog starts running. Isn't that correct? Then, this insect which gets attracted to the light, what is it called? In Telugu, it's called Minugu Purugu, okay? This insect which gets attracted to the light, right? Now this insect does not think that, oh, the light is so beautiful, I better go there and sit. It does not think like this, right? It simply gets attracted to it instinctively, okay? Now this sort of behavior is, this sort of action is called behavior, okay? Behavior is instinctive in nature. That is, there is some stimulus that is coming in, okay? There is some stimulus that is coming in, and this object instinctively responds. It instinctively responds, okay? There is some instinctive response to some stimulus. Are you able to follow, right? But human beings are not like that. Human beings are not like that, right? Human beings take this stimulus, right? Consider the meaning of this stimulus. They consider the meaning of this stimulus, right? They consider what is the meaning of this stimulus, right? And then act accordingly. And then act accordingly, right? So it is said that when human beings act, they take into consideration the meaning of the stimulus, process it. They process it and react accordingly. And react accordingly, right? React accordingly, okay? So there can be many examples of this, right? That is, the same thing that somebody did to dog, if they did it to you, right? What would you do? You may either just stand, or you may get into defense mode and start beating that person up, or you may run, okay? What is happening here? What is happening is that you are taking into account the meaning of this stimulus, right? Oh, what will this person hit me, right? He does not have the capacity to hit me. He's anyway such a cowardly fellow. He won't do anything to me, right? If you process the stimulus like that, you will just stand and see what he will do, right? But if you think that, oh, that fellow is a bodybuilder, he may actually thrash me, right? I better run, okay? If you process the stimulus like that, you start running. Or if you think that maybe I can beat him up if he starts beating me, and anyway this fellow has been asking for a beating for a long time now, let me give it to him today. If you process it like that, you start beating that person. Okay? So, you don't simply react. You don't simply react, or you don't simply act in an instinctive fashion, right? You don't just behave. Okay? You don't just behave, you respond through action. You respond through action, right? So that is the manner in which human actions are structured. That is the manner in which human actions are structured, okay? That is, the stimulus comes in, right? You process the meaning of that stimulus, you take into account all the possibilities, and then you decide on a course of action. Isn't that correct? Okay? Now, if there are two people in a situation, okay, and you are acting together, it is called social action. That is, you are acting towards this person. In my example, there is one more person, right? There is one more person. If there is no other person, then it is action but not social action. It's action but not social action, right? What is an example of this? After a long day's work, you have gone home and you want to listen to some music, right? And then you take into consideration so many things. How am I feeling? What are the popular songs in the market today? And then you play one song, okay? So there you are acting because you are taking into consideration some stimulus and you are acting meaningfully, right? But it is not oriented towards any other person. There is no other person, right? So as long as there are two people and you are acting towards each other in a meaningful manner, that becomes a social action. Okay? Are you all with me? I will dictate all of this, don't worry, don't look confused, okay? So this is called social action. There should be one other person, right? And you must take stimulus, process it, and act meaningfully towards that other person. Act meaningfully towards that other person, right? So sociology studies such social action. How is it that two people are oriented towards each other? How is it that two people are oriented towards each other, right? Now, the students who have attended my Indian society class, you can make more sense of this. Now, suppose in the traditional Indian society, there is a Dalit man and a Brahmin man, right? There's a Dalit and there's a Brahmin. There's an untouchable and there is a Brahmin, right? Now, this Brahmin and untouchable, they are both present in the same situation. This untouchable makes sure that he does not touch that person. Okay, he makes sure that he does not touch that person. He knows how to behave, right? How? Why is that happening? Because he's acting meaningfully towards that Brahmin. Okay, by when I say acting meaningfully, he knows what to expect. What to expect when he goes and touches that person. He won't generally go and touch that person, right? It's like this. Okay, so that is the idea. So the first thing that sociology studies is social action. Okay, don't write this down. I will dictate. Okay, there is a specific way in which you are supposed to write these things. I will dictate first. Understand what this is. Okay, sociology studies social action. Okay, sociology studies social action. That is the first thing. Second, sociology studies social institutions. Can you think of any other discipline which actually studies this? No, you cannot, because this is the unique subject matter of sociology. Okay, economics does not study it. It may in some way, the behavioral economics part of it studies it in some way, but this is the central point of sociology, right? So all the other things that we are going to deal with, they are like some unique things which sociology focuses on, and that is what we mean when we say sociology is the study of society. Okay, okay, social institutions. Okay, sociology studies social institutions. Okay, sociology studies social institutions. Now, what is the meaning of a social institution? Okay, that is what we have to understand. Okay. Yes? No, I'm not asking you for the examples of a social institution. I'm asking you how can we define or describe a social institution, right? Social institution, to call something as a social institution, it must satisfy three conditions. It must satisfy three conditions, right? Now, you must have sometimes heard about these kinds of things, right? These kinds of phrases. Family as a social institution, caste as a social institution, gender as a social institution. You may have heard about these phrases. They write like this. Family as a social institution is undergoing a crisis in India, right? Words like this, when you read your Hindu newspaper, it is written like this, right? Now, what is the meaning of a social institution? That is what we should understand, right? A social institution means that this relationship okay, between these two thinking individuals, right? These two thinking individuals who are within this structure, right? This is patterned, okay? So social institution means some kind of patterned relationship, some kind of patterned relationship between individuals in a society. Okay. What do I mean by patterned interaction? What do I mean by patterned interaction, right? Patterned interaction means that there is some sort of a repetition. There is some sort of a repetition involved here, right? Every day you come into the class and every day you treat the teacher the same way. Okay, every day you go back home, you treat your mother in one way, you treat your father in another way, right? You treat your friends in another way, right? And every time you treat a person, you don't have to reinvent the wheel again and again, right? You know how to act with a teacher, you know how to act with your mother, you know how to act with your father, like this, right? When I say patterned relationship, it means that there is a kind of repetition again and again, again and again. Again, take the instance of caste, right? The relationship between this untouchable person and the Brahmin is a patterned relationship because it keeps on repeating. It keeps on repeating. Okay, that is, it's not as if that every new day this person has to rethink how am I supposed to behave towards my wife or how am I supposed to behave towards the temple Brahmin, like this, right? So there is some sort of a repetition of this relationship. That is why the relationship, we call a relationship pattern when it is repeated. Okay, so it's a kind of patterned relationship between individuals in a society. That is the first thing, first character of a social institution. So when we say family is a social institution, it means that the way relations are structured between different members of the family, it is patterned. That is, there is one way. You cannot abuse your father, right? You cannot call him a bastard or you cannot call him this and that, right? So that is a pattern and that keeps on repeating. You never do it, right? You never do it, okay? So that is a patterned relationship. Okay, that is the first character of a social institution, right? Second character of a social institution is that it is found widely across a given society. Okay, it is found widely across a given society. That is, now consider the pattern of relationship between child and father, right? Now this pattern is not confined only to one family. It is not confined only to a few families, right? It is found widely across the society. It is found widely across the society. This sort of patterned relationship is found widely across the society. Okay, that is, family exists widely across the society and the same relationship between father and child is repeated in all the families. Okay, it is repeated in all the families. That is the second characteristic of a social institution, right? The third characteristic of a social institution is that it exists for a long period of time. It exists for a long period of time. That is, this father-child relationship. This father-child relationship, it existed in your father's generation, in their father's generation, in their father's generation, like this, right? For many generations altogether, this relationship between father and child exists, right? So, now when we say family is a social institution, we mean something like it is a kind of a patterned relationship in which how wife should behave with husband, how husband should behave with wife, and how both of them should behave with children, right? This is pattern, that is, it keeps on repeating. Okay. Second is that it is widely found across the society. That is, there are many families and it is very easy to find a family. Right? There are many families, right? And it exists for a very long period of time in an uninterrupted manner. That is, family has been existing, right, for many years, right? So it is said that family was first born 7,000 years ago, right? So because when some relationship satisfies these three conditions, it becomes a social institution. Okay, it becomes a social institution. Okay, so it is these sorts of social institutions which are the subject matter of sociology, like law, okay, like family, marriage, family, right, or religion, okay, politics, society, right? These are the things, okay. So what are the social institutions in a particular society, and what is the nature of the patterned relationship in that institution, and how widely is it found? Are there any changes that are happening in these institutions? These are the kinds of questions that sociology addresses, right? That is why you find in your sociology optional paper, many times they ask you what are the contemporary changes in the institution of family in India, right? So you have to write in what way is this pattern changing between the different people who are part of the family, right? And how widely is it found, right? How widely is this pattern found, and are there any changes that are happening in this pattern over a period of time, right? That is how you are supposed to address this question, okay? So what I'm trying to tell you is that sociology at one hand studies social action, that is meaningful action. On the second hand, it studies social institutions, okay? Then the third aspect that sociology studies is what is called social structure. That is the rectangle box, okay? Social structure. Sociology studies social structure, okay? What is the meaning of social structure, right? There are two meanings of social structure. When we say social structure, it means two things, okay? One is related to institutions, the other one is related to groups, okay? The other one is related to groups. Okay, so what do we mean by social structure? Now you will understand that these social institutions, they don't exist in isolation in any given society. They exist in clusters. They exist in clusters. That is, as there is a pattern pattern in the interaction, there is also a pattern in which these institutions are arranged. Okay, how are they arranged? Your family, right, is a social institution. Your law is another social institution, for example, right? So whatever is the patterned relationship between family members is also recognized by law. Right? That is, a wife and husband are in some kind of a civil contract, right? That is the social institution of family. This is also reflected in law, right? This is also reflected in law. So the law does not allow you to actually abandon your wife, right? Where are we debating this? Triple talaq, right? You should try to contextualize like this, right? Triple talaq is a debate related to the institution of the social institution of family within the Muslims. It's a debate concerning that matter. Sociologically speaking, it is a debate concerning that matter, right? What are the rights and responsibilities of the husband and wife in a Muslim marriage, and how does the law reflect this? Okay, so there is this social institution called family and social institution called law. They are not mutually contradictory. They are fitting smoothly with each other, right? Whatever is given in the social institution of family is also reflected in the social institution of law. Okay, they are fitting smoothly with each other, right? And there may be other institutions such as religion. Okay, so this religion may also somehow justify some aspects of this family, right? For example, in this triple talaq case, the social institution of religion justifies triple talaq, but the social institution of law does not justify it. What is happening here? They are not fitting smoothly. Okay, so when we speak about social structure, we mean a certain patterned arrangement of social institutions in a society at a given period of time. Okay, that is, there are many social institutions. They interact with each other. The social institutions interact with each other, right? And they may either fit smoothly with each other, or they may be in a kind of a conflict. Okay, so so the manner in which these social interactions interact with each other makes a particular social structure. Okay, so there may be, say, in a traditional Muslim society, there may be a smooth interaction between religion, law, and family. There may be a smooth interaction, right? Triple talaq is sanctioned here, here, and here, right? But say in India currently, it is sanctioned in religion, but it is also sanctioned in the Muslim society, but it is not sanctioned in law, right? So there may be either they may sit smoothly, or there may be some kind of a conflict, right? So the manner in which these social institutions are arranged in a particular society is one meaning of the word social structure, right? So this big box, this big box actually means the manner in which various institutions in the society are actually structured, right? Now think about it this way, right? Whatever you are thinking, your thought is structured by all these social institutions. You are either thinking legally, you are either thinking morally, you are either thinking religiously, right? Or you are thinking in terms of your social groups and social institutions. Okay, are you able to follow? Are you all with me? Or is it just flying above your head? Is there anybody who is unable to make sense of what is happening here? Don't be shy, because all of you are science students. You don't know the meaning of these words, and you don't even have the imagination to immediately grasp it. But slowly you will get grounded in this, right? Now I want to hear from students who are unable to understand. Okay, who are unable to understand all of it or a part of it. All of it or a part of it. Don't feel shy, please feel free. That's what I told you in the beginning of this class. This is not like some kind of a one-way communication, right? Think of this as some kind of a collective journey to reach that 300 marks in optional, right? You must understand these things. Otherwise, you won't be able to use these words correctly. And if you don't use these words, your answers will not be sociological. Okay? You must use these words correctly, and to use them correctly, you must understand what they mean. Okay, anybody who's unable to understand at all, I've understood 0% of what has happened so far, right? Anybody like that, feel free to tell me. Yes? Yes? At the back, are you able to follow what is happening somewhat? If you understand even 25% of it, my job is done for the first class, right? Because I'm anyway going to repeat these things again and again as till you understand, okay? So that is the first meaning of this social institution, social structure. That is a particular way in which social institutions are organized in a society. Okay. The second meaning is how are social groups organized in a society, right? Now always in a society there are social groups. That is, there are men and women, right? There is upper class and lower class and middle class. There is upper caste and lower caste. There are Muslims, Hindus, Christians, like this, right? There are very distinct social groups in every society. Do you all agree with this? Right? There are distinct groups in a society, right? And the relationship between these groups is also structured, right? The relationship between these groups is also structured. Okay? How does one group member act towards another group member, right? Do you think that Ambani's son would ever get married to, say, some daily wage laborer's daughter? They won't, right? Why? Because there is a particular organization of groups in society. There is a particular organization of groups in society. Or a better example is the whole idea of caste endogamy. Why is it that in India we have this system where people marry within their own caste? They marry within their own caste. According to the IHDS2 survey, 95% of the marriages in urban India are caste endogamic marriages, right? So why do they marry within their caste, right? Because there are certain specific social groups, and these groups have their own norms and institutions, and they only interact with themselves for certain purpose, okay? And their interaction with other group is different. The way they interact with their in-group is different, the way they interact with the out-group is different, right? So this is what it means. There are various groups in society. That is what your friend Praveen was saying. When he used the word in-group, out-group, it means something like this, right? All of you can clearly identify which group you fall into, right? One basic thing is that either you are a man or a woman. That you can clearly identify, right? Then you can identify your caste-based group, you can identify your religion-based group, you can identify your class position. Do I belong to the lower class? Do I belong to the middle class? Or am I very rich? Like this, okay? So, the interaction with the people whom you consider as belonging to your own group is different from how you interact with people who are from some outside group. Okay, is this making sense? Right? So, that group behavior, how these groups form, what are these groups, how these groups form, and how these groups interact with each other, that is the other meaning of social structure. Okay? So, this person, he's actually acting based on some relationship with some institutions, also based on what group he belongs to. Okay? What group he belongs to. Okay? This will become more clear when we discuss socialization, right? Okay. Leave that word for now. Okay, so sociology is the study of social action, social institutions, social structure, and social structure means two things, right? Then fourthly, sociology is the study of social processes. Study of social processes. Sociology is the study of social processes. Okay, what do we mean by social processes, right? This is the easiest part to understand. That is, sociology tries to answer 3 questions related to society. Okay, 3 process related questions. Okay, what are these 3 questions? Why and how? Why and how do societies emerge? Why and how do societies emerge? That is, how did this social structure, these social institutions, these groups, how did they emerge in the first place, right? There is some process by which they emerge, right? So why do they emerge and how do they emerge, right? That is one question sociology tries to answer, right? The second question that sociology tries to answer is that why and how do societies persist? Why and how do societies persist? Why and how do societies persist? Okay, that is, once a society is formed, it has some lifetime for itself, right? For example, take the feudal society or this agrarian feudal society. It existed for some 700-800 years in Europe. Okay, 700-800 in Europe, right? Now this modern capitalist society, it emerged sometime in the 18th century and it has already lived for 200 years. Right, 300 years, sorry, it has already lived for more than 300 years now, right? So, why is it that societies, once they emerge, why is it that they persist? Why is it that they persist? Okay, that is, why do they survive for such long periods of time? What are the processes that are at play so that societies actually persist for a very long period of time, right? So, this is another process related question that sociology seeks to answer. Okay. Thirdly, sociology seeks to answer why and how do societies change? Why and how do societies change? Why and how do societies change? That is, societies may persist for a very long period of time, but then there are some processes which make societies change. That is, why did a society change from a feudal society to this modern capitalist society, right? What made this change possible, right? So sociology is also the study of the process of social change. How is it that societies are changing? What makes them change? How and why? Why do they change? And when they change, how do they change? This is the question that sociology seeks to answer, right? So sociology, in its 4th dimension, is the study of social processes. That is, why and how do societies emerge, why and how do societies persist, and why and how do societies change. Okay? So this is what sociology seeks to answer. See, these are the 2 tricky concepts which will take some time for you to imagine, right? But this is easy to understand. This is very easy to understand, right? Then nextly, the fifth dimension of sociology is that sociology is the study of social conflict. Sociology is the study of social conflict. Okay, sociology is the study of social conflict. What do we mean by this? See, we've said that there are many different groups in society. The interests of one group may be different from the interests of another group. Isn't that correct? Right? The interests of one group, say for example, the interest of the upper caste in India is to do away with the reservation system so that they get more jobs and more education seats, right? But the interest of the lower caste is in maintaining this reservation system so that they get some justice and they can actually crawl up this social ladder, right? So these groups actually, because they have various interests, they are always in conflict. Now this conflict does not appear in the open always. They don't always keep punching each other or killing each other. But this conflict is subterranean. When we say subterranean, it means it is underneath the surface. It is always there. Sometimes it erupts. Right? Sociology studies how different groups which have different interests engage in this social conflict, and why is it that this conflict is contained in some cases and they erupt in some cases. Right? For a very long period of time, this conflict was contained. In the 1990s, anti-mandal agitations, conflict erupted. Reservation-related conflict between upper caste and lower caste, it erupted. Right? Hindu-Muslim conflict kept under the lid for a very long period of time. 1990s, Ram Janmabhoomi movement, it erupted. Right? So why? Because ultimately there is some difference of interests. Groups have different interests, and that is why they are always in a relationship of conflict. But sometimes this conflict is contained. Sometimes this conflict is contained. It is not every day that you find communal riots or caste riots, right? But sometimes this control, it disappears and you see conflict in the open, right? So sociology studies how different groups which have different interests engage in social conflict. Why is this conflict sometimes contained and sometimes erupts in the open? Okay, so sociology studies that. So if you are a good sociologist, you don't need caste riots or you don't need communal riots to see that there is a conflict between social groups, between the rich and poor in India, between the urban and rural sectors, between Muslims and Hindus and Christians and Sikhs, like this, right? Sometimes there may be cooperation, but many times there may be conflict. And it may not erupt. If it is not erupting out in the open, it does not mean that there is no conflict. There is always conflict. There is always conflict, right? So this, how is it that this conflict operates in a society, right? And why is it contained for some period of time, but sometimes it erupts in open, okay? And when it erupts in open, how does it change the social institutions and social structure? Okay, so that is one aspect of sociology, right? A very, very important aspect of sociology. Understanding why there is conflict in society, how it is contained, in what situation it erupts in open, and when it erupts in open, how does it change social institutions and social structure, right? That is the idea, okay? That is the idea, okay? So these are the five main dimensions along which forms the subject matter of sociology, right? So if you are asked to write about the subject matter of sociology, what is sociology, right? This question should be answered like this. You should not simply say sociology means a study of society like this, okay? The subject matter of sociology is these things, okay? The subject matter of sociology is these things, right? There is one more thing that I want to tell you, and then I'll dictate some notes. That is, now we say that sociology is the study of these five dimensions, okay? These five dimensions, but there is one more word I want to add, that is, sociology is a systematic study of these dimensions, okay? Sociology is a systematic study of these five dimensions, right? Now we need to understand what is the meaning of this systematic, right? We need to understand this properly because there is going to be a very large discussion that we are going to enter into in subsequent classes as to the scientific nature of sociology, right? Whether sociology is a science or not, we are going to enter into this discussion later on in this course. But for now, understand what is the meaning of systematic, right? Never write that sociology is the scientific study of society, okay? Because it is a contested thing. Okay, whether sociology is actually scientific study of society or not, it is a highly contested thing, right? But at the least what you can say is sociology is a systematic study of society, right? Now what do I mean by systematic study of society? What do I mean by sociology as a systematic study of society? Sociology as a systematic study of society. What do we mean by this, right? The first thing we mean by this is that there are some well accepted concepts, methods, and theories. Okay, well accepted concepts, methods, and theories which are more or less shared by all sociologists, shared by all sociologists. Okay, that is, when you say family, right? When you say family, or when you say something like kinship, when you say something like class, when you say something like caste, right? These are all concepts. Okay, these are all concepts, and these concepts are understood in the same way by all the sociologists. They are understood in the same way by all the sociologists, right? That is why we say that there are well accepted concepts, methods, and theories. What is a method? The manner in which you generate knowledge. Okay, how do you go about generating knowledge? The manner in which you generate knowledge is called a method, right? So there is also some sort of a understanding as to in what methods can we produce sociological knowledge, right? Similarly, theories. Okay, theory. Let me not explain what is theory here. We'll do that next, okay? A theory means a higher order generalization of facts, okay? Now let us not get into that, okay? So there are some theories just understand it as if it's the English word theory, okay? There are some theories, methods and concepts which are shared by sociologists in common, right? That is why we say it is a systematic study, okay? It's systematic study, okay? Then second one is that there is institutionalized mode of teaching, institutionalized mode of teaching and validation of knowledge through peer review. Validation of knowledge, okay, through peer review. Okay. What do I mean by institutionalized mode of teaching? Institutionalized mode of teaching simply means that there are some universities and there are some departments in that they offer certain courses. There is a syllabus for this course, there is a textbook, a professor comes to the class, this professor teaches, right? That is an institutionalized mode of teaching. It is not simply like, say, astrology, okay, or reading the palm. For example, many people say that even reading the palm is one sort of a science, right? But is there any university where they teach you how to read a palm? There are some textbooks that are published on it, right? There is nothing of that sort, right? But sociology has it. Okay, so when something has an institutionalized mode of teaching, we simply mean that there are some textbooks, universities, courses in which a practitioner of that discipline comes and teaches you, right? So will music be considered an institutionalized mode of institutionalized discipline? Yes, it will be considered, right? Will astronomy be considered institutionalized mode, that is study of planets? Yes, but is alchemy, that is alchemy is turning metals into gold, right? Any metal into gold is called alchemy, right? Is that an institutionalized discipline? No, right? It's not, okay? Similarly, there is validation of knowledge through peer review. What do I mean by this? See, many of you may not have gone to a university, so you don't know how is it that actually research is conducted, right? So suppose I'm a physicist, right? And I got a new idea and I conducted experiments, so on and so forth, and I got some results, okay? Now that itself does not become knowledge in physics. That itself does not become established knowledge in physics. Then you publish this. You publish this in a peer-reviewed journal. What is the meaning of a peer-reviewed journal? It means that, suppose I'm a physicist working in the field of optics, right? There will be other physicists also who are working in the field of optics. Whatever experiments I conducted, it will be circulated among them. And they will look at it, right? And they will point out, you good professor, you have made this big blunder. This is the blunder in your mathematics. This is the blunder in your experimentation. So you please redo this experiment, right? Similarly, when this other professor does it, all the others check it. Okay, that is called peer review. Peer means your own, people who are of your own level. Okay, they are your peers, right? So they review your work. And only when other physicists accept that this kind of experiment is correct, only then it becomes knowledge in physics, right? Isn't that correct? Even in sociology it is like this, okay? That is, you conduct some studies, you get some conclusions, you publish it, and other sociologists check whether what you have done is right or wrong, okay? Other sociologists check what you have done is right or wrong, and that is why we say sociology is based on production of knowledge is based through peer review, okay? This is the other meaning of institutionalized mode of teaching, okay? Then the third aspect is that we say it is systematic because knowledge grows in an additive fashion, okay? There is an additive growth of knowledge. There is an additive growth of knowledge. There is an additive growth of knowledge, okay? What does this mean? It means that because knowledge is institutionalized, suppose I create some theory in physics, right? After 50 years, somebody may revise that theory, so that theory will be one step better than the existing theory. Isn't that correct? That is how, to tell you what this actually means, I think it was Newton. Okay, we'll study about Newton tomorrow. I think it was Newton who said that. Yes, it is Newton who said that. If I am able to see farther, it is because I am standing on the shoulders of the giants. That is what he said. Okay, that is, how is it that you have created such a scientific revolution? Okay, that is in the field of motion, right? In the field of motion, how is it that you have created such a scientific revolution? He famously said that I was able to see farther than others because I was standing on the shoulders of giants. That is, people who have come before me, people like Kepler, right? They have already created so much of knowledge, and I was standing on their shoulders. That is why I was able to create this scientific revolution, right? Now, what does this mean? It means that the growth of knowledge is additive in fashion. Okay, it is additive in fashion. Okay, the idea, so if many of you may know how the model of the atom actually evolved, right? First there was this watermelon model, Rutherford, this, that, Bohr, and so many others, right? So how did this come about? First somebody gave a model, another person improved on it, another person improved on it, another person improved on it, right? So like this, there is an additive growth of knowledge. Additive growth of knowledge, right? So when we say something is a systematic study, it means that knowledge grows in an additive fashion. Okay, knowledge grows in an additive fashion, right? So when we say sociology is when we define sociology, we'll say sociology is the systematic study of these aspects of society. Okay, it's a systematic study of these aspects of society. Has everybody understood what has happened in the class so far? Okay. Now there is no option for you, you have to ask a question, okay? Who will ask? Okay, because if you have understood, you can ask a question, okay? Even though you have understood, just ask a question, okay? That is one way I check how much you have understood. Yes? Yes, who wants to ask a question? Yes. You can either ask a question, or you can either have a comment also, right? Now this is how I feel that the social groups are structured. This is what I feel that social institutions are structured. Yes. Yes, sir, you want to say something? What? See, you no need any specific comments. What have you understood so far, or what is the impression that you are getting about sociology so far? What is the impression that you are getting about sociology so far? What kind of a study is this, right? Can you tell me about it a little bit? There's no compulsion, but if you feel like. Yes, anybody? Yes. Anybody? Yes, you want to say something? No? It's too intimidating? How many of you are feeling that sociology is an intimidating discipline already? Is it somewhat easy to understand? It's a very commonplace, easy thing to understand, right? It's not intimidating to anyone? Yes, to anyone? Okay. Chalo, let's write down now. Okay. The first chapter, okay, the first thing that we'll write down is the meaning and scope of sociology. The meaning and scope of sociology. Okay, draw this diagram for your own reference. Okay, draw this diagram for your own reference so that you are able to understand it better. Okay, I'll give you 2 minutes to draw this diagram. In the place of I write internal. Yes, sir. Man in society means that this man cannot do whatever he wants. Like the example was, you can't wear a sari and come out, right? It means that there are some constraints on what you can do. That is what man in society means. Society in man means what? Why did you even not consider this, wearing a sari? Okay, your thought process is also somehow structured by this society. Okay, so what you think and what happens outside is many times in sync. Okay, what happens if it is not in sync, I will explain. We'll come to that. Okay, maybe we'll develop that. Okay, but you understand this basic idea, right? That you are there, you have so many thoughts and ideas, right? Some of that may be creative, some of that may be different from society, right? But many of your ideas are actually structured by the society. Okay, that is what we mean by society in man. Okay. Yes, have you all drawn this diagram? Okay, write down one definition. Okay, yes. Okay, that discussion we will take up at great length. Okay, what makes something a science? Okay, first of all, is physics a science? How? Why do you know physics is a science? Yes. So that is called what is called cognitive realism. That school, okay, which says that if you can predict what is happening in future, right, then that makes it a science. Then is meteorology a science? You would generally think meteorology is a science, but it cannot predict when it exactly going to rain, right? Right. So there are so many debates and discussions as to what makes something a science, and from that whether sociology can be called a science, right? That is a separate chapter, and every year some 30 marks are asked from only this question, right? In two different ways they ask it, the same question, okay? So we'll get into that debate, okay? Later on in this course we'll get into that debate. First of all, what is the meaning of science? Whether physics is a science, whether meteorology is a science, whether sociology is a science, we'll get into this debate and discussion, okay? Just hold on for some time, okay? But that is why I said, for now, just believe that it is simply a systematic study, okay? Physics is also a systematic study, okay? Chemistry is also a systematic study. Meteorology is also a systematic study. Just like that, sociology is also a systematic study, okay? Okay, write down. Okay. Sociology is, see, before I dictate, there are some technical definitions and things that I am going to dictate. Try to make some mark there, or try to indicate to yourself that you should by heart it and try to reproduce it, okay? Okay, this is one thing like that, okay? Okay. Sociology is development of systematic knowledge about society, development of systematic knowledge about society, the way it is organized, comma, the way it is organized, okay, comma, how it changes, comma, its creation in social action, and its disruption and renewal, in social conflict. Its disruption and renewal in social conflict. Okay. So if you are asked to define sociology, you are expected to by heart this and write. Okay. Okay. Then keep writing. According to Peter Berger, okay, one thing. First of all, let me get this clear. You cannot afford to write the wrong spelling of the thinker or author in your examination. For example, in my previous class, Karl Marx spelling was written like this: Karlmarks. Okay, this is the spelling they wrote, Karl Marx. Okay, the spelling is Marx. If you write this kind of wrong spellings, it will create a very, very, very bad impression on the examiner, right? What he will know is, this fellow has not even cared to read from a printed book. He read from somebody's written notes, and in the written notes the spelling was wrong. This fellow blindly copied that wrong spelling and he wrote it in the exam also, right? You cannot afford to write a wrong spelling, so I will dictate the spellings of all the writers. Just write them down, okay? According to Peter Berger, Peter Berger, okay? According to Peter Berger, sociology is the study of man in society and society in man. Underline these two things. Is the study of man in society and society in man. Okay. Just one more thing. This is related to writing your sociology answers. Wherever possible, you should always quote according to someone, okay? Same content, but according to whom? It cannot be your own poetry, right? In optional, it is of fundamental importance to write the name of a thinker, and if you can remember, even the book name. Okay, even the book name, right? But how many book names can you remember, right? But at least remember the name of the thinker and at least some 50 important books. Okay, 50 important books which I will tell you in the course of time. Okay, so that is it. Okay, okay, keep writing. To be located in society means, to be located in the society means to be at the intersection, to be at the intersection of specific social forces, to be at the intersection of specific social forces, specific social forces. Okay, social locations of an individual are always predetermined, and individuals by themselves cannot alter them, cannot alter them. This is the meaning of man in society. Put that in quotes. This is the meaning of man in society. Meaning of man in society. And put that man in society in quotes. Okay. This is the meaning of man in society. Okay. Further, an individual's thought processes and decisions, are in most circumstances actually the products of the norms and values of a society. Okay. This is the meaning of society in man. Okay. Then give the next subheading, scope of sociology. Okay, scope of sociology. Okay, write down. Sociology is the systematic study of five specific dimensions. Sociology is the systematic study of five specific dimensions of a society. Five specific dimensions of a society. Okay, namely, okay, 1. Social action. 2. Social institutions. 3. Social structure. 4. Social processes. And 5. Social conflict. Okay, write down in the next paragraph. A subject is called a systematic study, and put systematic study in quotes. A subject is called a systematic study when it broadly meets three criteria. Okay. 1. Okay. There are well accepted concepts, methods, there are well accepted concepts, methods and theories. Well accepted concepts, methods and theories which are more or less shared by all the practitioners of the subject. Shared by all the practitioners of the subject. Two. Okay. There are institutionalized modes of teaching. There are institutionalized modes of teaching and validation of knowledge through peer review. Institutionalized modes of teaching and validation of knowledge through peer review. Now for your understanding you can write down the meaning of these words also. Okay, institutionalized mode means that there are some formal institutions where teaching is done, there are textbooks, right, there are degrees that are awarded like this. Okay, for your understanding you may make a small note. Okay, and peer review means that the knowledge created by one practitioner is validated by other practitioners. Okay, that is what you can write. Okay, then 3. There is an additive growth of knowledge. There is an additive growth of knowledge in the sense that there is an additive growth of knowledge in the sense that the work of one practitioner is built upon by others. Is built upon by others. Additive growth of knowledge in the sense that the work of one practitioner is built upon by others. Is built upon by others, right? So that is the meaning of systematic. Okay, then so then write down sociology as social action. Sociology as social action. Sociology as social action. Okay. Action is distinguished from mere behavior. Action is distinguished from mere behavior in the sense that there is intervention of thought. There is intervention of thought before there is a response to stimulus. There is intervention of thought before there is a response to stimulus. Intervention of thought before there is a response to stimulus. Okay. When one acts instinctively, when the response is instinctive, it is behavior. Okay. It becomes behavior. Okay. Action becomes a social action. Action becomes a social action when there are at least two acting individuals. There are at least two acting individuals. There are at least two acting individuals and they are oriented towards one another. And they are oriented towards one another. They are oriented towards one another. Okay. Sociology studies how such social action occurs in a society. Sociology studies how such social action occurs in a society and how it differs between different societies, and how it differs from in different societies, how it differs in different societies. Okay, then next one, sociology as study of social institutions. Sociology as the study of social institutions. Okay, a social institution means a form of patterned interaction, between individuals, okay, which repeats over a period of time. Sorry, a pattern, what did you write? Social institution means a form of patterned interaction, full stop. This means the interaction has a tendency to repeat itself. This means an interaction has a tendency to repeat itself, comma, is found widely across society, and persists over long periods of time, Okay. Sociology studies the nature of such institutions. And the role they play in the lives of individuals. Okay, I'm a little curious. Are you typing as the way I'm saying? You can type so fast? Oh, very good. That's an amazing skill. She's actually using a phone to directly type what I am saying. Okay. New generation of people. Okay. So, yes. Next one. What did you write down? And the role they play in the lives of individuals, right? Full stop. Okay. Then next. Sociology, write down some examples of social institutions are family, religion, law, morality, etc. Okay. Then next one, sociology as the study of social structure. Sociology as the study of social structure. Sociology as the study of social structure. Right? Write down. Social structure essentially means two things. Social structure essentially means two things. A specific pattern in which social institutions are organized in a society. A specific pattern in which social institutions are organized in a society. a specific pattern in which social institutions are organized in a society. Okay. Social institutions may sometimes fit smoothly with each other. Social institutions may sometimes fit smoothly with each other or sometimes be in a state of conflict. Sociology studies the nature of organization, of social institutions in a specific society. Nature of organization of social institutions in a specific society. The functions performed by such social institutions. Whether they fit smoothly or not. Okay, say and whether they fit smoothly or not. B. Social structure also means the nature of relationships between social groups. Okay. Sociology studies the types of groups present in a society. How they interact with each other. And how such interaction varies. Among different societies. And over a period of time. Okay. So, as an example of the first part, you can write down the interrelationship between religion, family and law. As an example of the second part, you can write the interaction between castes in Indian society. Yes? You've written A, B, 2 points. Right? A is first meaning of social structure, B is second meaning of social structure. For this A, write an example, right? The interrelationship between law, religion and family. For the second one, write down the interrelationship between castes in Indian society. Okay. Now next, fourth. Sociology as the study of social processes. Sociology as the study of social processes. Right? Sociology addresses three process-related questions about society. Okay, and write down these 3 points. Sociology addresses 3 process related questions about society, and write down these 3 processes. Why and how do societies emerge? Why and how do societies persist? Why and how do societies change? Why and how do societies change? Yes. Next. Sociology as the study of social conflict. Sociology as the study of social conflict. Okay. Sociology focuses on how and why, sorry, not why, how different groups holding different interests, engage in conflict, comma, why sometimes this conflict is contained, comma, why at other times this conflict erupts in the open, and how are social structures disrupted and changed as a result of social conflict. Okay, how are social structures disrupted and changed as a result of social conflict? Okay, this is the idea. So today we have discussed what is the nature and scope of sociology, right? This is the first class. Okay, tomorrow, when we come back tomorrow, we'll immediately take up the first topic, that is social changes in Europe and the emergence of sociology, right? So the first few sessions we are actually only going to build up your awareness or your knowledge of what is sociology, how is it different from other disciplines like this. Your first 2 units in the first paper are dedicated to this discussion. Okay, what is sociology and how is it different from other disciplines. Okay, and this is true of all the optionals, right? If you look at political science also, they tell you what is political science and what is the nature of this discipline, so on and so forth, right? We'll meet tomorrow. Just 2 things. Tell your friends that this is not an orientation class, and this is the sociology optional course has already begun. Okay, inform your friends, your batchmates who may have missed the class today, right? And tell them that the class will be from 2 to 7:30 on weekends. Okay, please, you can inform your friends and you can also invite them to come and sit here, right? Yes, second thing is that it seems there are some students who have gone and said that they have already opted for geography or anthropology or optionals like this in La Excellence itself, right? But they are having second thoughts and they want to change to sociology or something like that, right? Or anthropology, whichever, right? So La Excellence permits this kind of change between optionals. That is, if you have attended, but that has to be done within this week, right? If you have already enrolled for some other optional, you can as well shift it within La Excellence, right? If it's another discipline, other institute, we can't help you, right? So that is about it. I hope all of you have understood the lecture. Please go back and read your notes again before you come to class, right? We'll discuss tomorrow. Okay, thank you very much for coming. Yes, one more thing. Have you all signed the sheet? Everybody has signed the sheet. Have you all given your email IDs and phone numbers so that we can inform you if there is any change of venue or timing? Okay, that is the reason. Okay, please fill up the form if you have not filled it up already. Right? Thank you.